How's it going, lovebirds? I'm back with you with episode 12 of the Good Relationships podcast. Today I have a very, very, very special guest with me, Miss Alicia. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for taking your time out of the day just to book this. Will be the second portion of the red flags in dating relationships. So I know you got a bunch of stuff you want to talk about, and I know that there's a bunch of guys whose hearts you probably broken in the past.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, let's get to it. So I'll just start with the first question, and it's on these dates that you have with guys, what's the thing that is like the biggest red flag that you've come across in your past?
I really think the biggest red flag that I've come across is just people that it seems like they're very negative about like the way they look at themselves, and they just like they can't really seem to like brag about themselves enough. You know what I mean? Like some people like humble is good, but it's like you don't want to see somebody just being really negative. Like I'm never going anywhere. Like I'm not doing anything with my life. Like you want to see somebody who's like trying to grow, who believes in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like it's hard when they don't believe in themselves. You can't help them. They need to find that like in them.
So like more so a guy that doesn't have like
The self-confidence.
Okay, so self-confidence, personality.
Personalities in there.
And I guess it sounds like someone who just doesn't have much direction.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like not knowing where you're going is bad. It's just a matter of like, do you know you want to go somewhere? Do you know you want to work towards something? Do you know you want to, become like your best self? Do you know you want to do that? Like, like having that direction, like at least like to grow, at least to become better is what I think.
Right. So
it's a red flag if you don't see that.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like you want someone who has something going for himself. I don't think that's anything, crazy to ask for.
Oh, no.
So my question is, how do you figure that stuff out? Is it just like through questions on the first date, or do you see it through their actions?
I think you gotta see it through like when you talk to them about like, so what do you want to do like after school? Like what do you want to do with your life? I mean, at my age, it's after school. Like if they say they've got some plans, if they say like I don't know, like I'm interested in this, but like I'm not totally sure where I want to go. Like I mean, as long as they have just, like they want to get better, they want to do better. But some people, they just kind of like they give up. They're like, no, I'm not good at anything. I don't want to do anything. It's just you got to see somebody like who wants to grow, who wants to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I say that all the time. The best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is such a solid way to say it, because what else would you want to be?
Exactly. Yeah. And you want to see, like, the person that you're trying to be with, you want them to be the best version of themselves. I mean, you're going to, if you're in a committed relationship already, like, you're going to love them where they're at, but, like, you still want to see them get to the best place that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Have you experienced any red flags that have caused you to instantly, like, say no on the date? Or, like, what's that one thing that just automatically says, okay, we're done, like, right here?
I don't know. I think, when it feels like they're just, not really, like, with it, not really, like, into the conversation, they're just kind of, like, somewhere else. Like, it's, it's like they care more about getting to, like, what's after this, or, like, it's just not very, like, it's not like they care about what's going on. It's like they're kind of just, like, in another place, Like, that's kind of something I would say.
Where do you think their head is?
I don't know. I mean, some people, it's, just like they're thinking about like like am I gonna get sex after this? Are we going somewhere? Like are we going to like her bed? Like it's just like it's not. It's like they don't care about what you have to say about your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas.
Right. So you're more so looking for a guy who's engaged into the conversation, who's not so much on his phone, and who's actually giving you you eye contact.
Right. You want, like, they just gotta be, like, engaged. Like, the thing is, you can't have a conversation with somebody who's not going to reciprocate, who's not gonna just add on to what you have to say, who's not gonna, like, you know, make the conversation grow and get more, like, just get deeper into conversation. Like, otherwise you're just kind of, it's just, like, small talk, you know? You want somebody you can, like, connect with about different subjects and lots of things, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Like somebody that's more so able to become your best friend in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that, actually. Because, like, you want them to be your best friend and somebody that you can see yourself being with, you know, for, you know, however long, you know? It's just not about, like, you know, small talk. You gotta talk about more than that. You gotta, like, actually get to know each other, connect, you know?
Like the depth, like real depth, like not just
like
what's your favorite color.
Yeah, like who you really are, like what you really feel, like what you really think, like, you know?
Right.
Like, you want to be able to, like, get to the person that they really are and be able to, you know, be like, is this the person, like, I want to be with? I don't know, you know?
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't ask the last person that was on the red flag series this, but have you yourself displayed any red flags that a guy has told you about?
Have I? Let me think. I mean, I've been told I'm too quiet. It's like, red flag, I'm quoting here, like, red flag, I guess. I don't know. Just, like, you know, maybe it's just, like, nerves, but I guess they kind of were just like, oh, you're a little too quiet, like, you know. Some people are more outgoing, they want more of that, so, I mean, I don't know, nobody's told me any red flags that they think, like, you know, oh, you need to, like, work on this. And,
right.
Yeah.
Do you think you give off, like, any red flags at all, or?
I don't want to sound arrogant, but no. I don't think I do. I don't know. I think I don't know. I think I'm pretty level-headed with that stuff. I think kind of work through it. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I'm sure there's something, but...
Yeah, no worries. I mean, what about the physical red flags that a guy tries to, you know, display on you? Is there anything like that?
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, it's not always a bad thing. Like, sex on the first date kind of thing. Like, that's not always a bad thing. Like, trying to go for that, like, right away. Like, sometimes it just happens. Like, it's fine. But I do think, like, if you're just not into, like, the conversation and, like, you know, like, who they are so far, and then it gets to that, it's like, it's obviously not because of any, like, kind of connection. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like it's just because they want something physical right now. Mm-hmm.
So if a guy is like very honest and open about, like, him wanting sex on the first date, how do you take that?
I mean, if they were open with me and honest about it, I think that's huge in, like, relationships. Like, if you're gonna, like, honestly tell me, like, all I want is, like, a friends with benefits, then, you know, if I was into it, I'd be like, yeah, but, like, you know, I'm just gonna be like, well, you know what, like, that's not really my thing, like, you know, like, as long as they're open and honest with me, I think it's good, as long as we can get on the same page. Mm-hmm. But if they're not, like, as long as they're honest, I think it's just the biggest thing. Like, I think I'd be okay with that, just tell them, like, you know, this is what I think about it, like, this is how I feel about it. So, but as long as they tell me what they want, so.
Did you hear that? All you have to do is be completely honest, and it may go the way you actually want it to go.
Oh, really?
Or it may not. I mean, there's only a yes and a no, so guys, if it's something you actually really want, don't try to fake it, because it sounds like you give off such an obvious, like, vibe, like, you know?
Yeah, like, it's like if you want something, like, you're looking for something, like, you know, I mean, if you're like, I want to get married and have kids, like, you know, like, I mean, you know, of course on the first date you don't just, like, be like, you don't just sit down at the table and be like, okay, so are you ready to, like, get married and have kids? Like, you know, you gotta be, like, you gotta be honest about, like, I'm actually looking for a relationship, I'm actually not looking for something serious, like,
right.
But, like, I think there is a bit of oversharing sometimes, like, some people are very much like, well, I'm just ready to, like, get into it and, like, get married, and I'm like, You need to back up.
Whoa, slow down, right?
Yeah, like, it's just, like, there's oversharing, and then there's, like, just not saying anything. And I think a lot of it's just, like, the fear of, like, being rejected. And, I mean, it's, like, of course, like, everybody has that fear, but, like, sometimes, like, if you want to get something, it's going to be a lot faster just to be, like, do you want to, like, you know, like, are you, like, in a place for a relationship, yes or no? Do you only want sex, yes or no, you know? You get past it faster, you find what you want a lot faster if you're just open and honest with people in relationships. So, I think that's just the key. Like, honesty is huge.
That makes sense. I mean, honesty, communication. I mean, how can you go wrong when you actually do that?
Yeah, for real. And if it's not meant to be, like, if you're honest with somebody and, like, things just don't work out, then I think, you know, like, it's just the way it is. Like, you're just going to move on, and you're going to find something better, something that's going to fit you better, because you're going to be open, you're going to be honest with people. You'll find somebody who can, like, connect with you like that, and who will be open and honest with you the way that you are with them.
Right. No, that's really good advice. I mean, that's really all you need.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I wish people would see that. That's a really important thing, I feel like.
I agree. So, red flags. What are the red flags that you're actually okay with accepting on the first date? Do you have, like, a 3-strike rule, or
3-strike rule?
You know, what's your process when going through these red flags? Is it one and done, or how do you do that?
I mean, I think it's more like a, can I handle this type of situation? Like, more like, I know, like, how severe is it? You know what I mean? Like, do they, like, are they so, like, have so much, like, self-doubt that they can't, like, you know, get, like, you know, go places or, like, be the best version of them? Like, can they do that? Like, do they have, like, so much self-doubt that, like, you can't even help them, you know? Like, some of it's just, like, some things are so deep down, like, those insecurities and everything, that you just can't help them. Like, you can't fix somebody else. They gotta want to fix themselves. So, you know, if they're just gonna, you know, just be upset, you know, and sad and, like, just pity themselves, I think that you just really can't help them. To some level, you really just can't help them. And I think that's the biggest thing that I look for, because it's just, like, if you really don't see that they have, like, you know, the motivation to grow and learn and, like, you know, are open to learning, that's a whole nother thing. But, you know, just being, like, open to, like, growing and open to, you know, new opinions, new ideas. It's just, like, and if they don't have that, they don't seem like they can get there, that they can do that, then I think that's just the biggest red flag, and there's just, you know, that would just be, like, complete turn off. But I guess some red flags, like, I don't know. I guess, like, the whole thing about, like, when people are just consistently on their phones, like, that's a little thing. There's, like, little physical things that, like, they'll do or, like, be like, but, like, you know, just looking at, like, the kind of person they are, if they can't, like, grow, it's just huge.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a lot of good insight. Is there, on a more personal level, is there any things that, like, a guy may do that just may bother you? Like a corny laugh, or...
Oh, like little shallow
yeah,
things,
like little
kinda?
things like that. Just...
well, I don't know. Like, I've never thought, like... It's like if... Like, some people, like, you know, looks are just, like, everything. But it's, like, as long as, like, the personality's there and the connection's there, it shouldn't matter, you know? So, like, physically, like, talking about, like, just, like, you know, how attractive they are, that I don't think that matters to me. It's just I guess, like, little, like, things that would bug me a lot if they were on their phone, like, all the time. Like, during, like, a date, like, it's just, it's annoying. It's like, who are you here for? Me or the phone, you know?
Interesting. Yeah.
For sure. But
okay.
yeah, that's about it.
So, if that's the case, let's kind of switch it around, and let's look at what it would be like if the date actually went right. What does a good date without the red flags look like for you? What is the guy doing right? What is he saying to you? How is he saying it to you? What's his body language saying? You know.
Right, and I mean, if you're thinking about, like, the perfect date,
Your perfect date.
My perfect date. Okay, my perfect date is, like, you know, he looks, like, attentive, like, he's listening, he responds, reciprocates, like, you know, just kind of, like, oh, you want to talk about dogs. Like, let's talk about dogs. You know, like, whatever it is. Like, you know, he seems like he'll give back what you're putting out. Like, you don't, like, you know, and in relationships in general, that's what you want to see. Mm-hmm. So, if you see that on a first date, that's great, you know? I don't know, just, like, the body language is kind of, like, you know, like, how, like, people lean in when they're, like, interested, like, when they're, like, listening. It's just, that's the thing that I don't know, just being attentive, being, like, you're there, like, you want to know more. And the other thing is just, like, do you connect in general? Like, so I can't really, like, say what a perfect connection looks like, but, like, you know, you just got to be able to, like, level with them. Like, you know, do we think, like, you know, pretty similarly? Like, are we going to clash? Like, do we, like, as people, like, you know, do you annoy me? Like, I don't know, like, stuff sense. Like that, you know? So I think that's pretty huge. But a perfect date, I think it's all about just how the chemistry is. Like, you never really know. Sometimes, like, something comes up and you just, you know, you've never seen before, you've never had before, and you're just, like, roll with it. You know?
Yeah. So, are you familiar with, like, the love languages and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So, let's say a guy gets past the first date. And if that's the case, what does that actual dating process look like for you? Including, like, your love languages, do you, like, share that stuff in the beginning? Or how does that work out? To, like, help the guy out, or do you just kind of let him figure you out on his own?
That's hard. I think a lot of girls wish that guys would just kind of figure them out, like, on their own. But, like, you know, different fights have told me otherwise. Like, you know, they're not going to read my mind. They're not going to tell me, like, oh, I know what you want. Like, you know, obviously you want, like, me to, you know, like, tell you, like, reassure you more. Like, obviously, they're not going to get that. Like, you know, we got to understand, like, we got to tell them what we want. We got to be direct. We got to be upfront. And it's hard. I'm not going to say I'm great at that. But, like, you know, I don't know. Like, I mean, you just kind of, like, you got to be honest with them. And if they, you know, you kind of got to figure them out a little bit. But, I mean, like, sometimes the best way to know is just, like, to ask. Just be like, hey, like, you know, like, what's something you need from me? Like, you know, in this relationship, like, do you want me to, like, talk to you more? Like, you know, for me, quality time is, like, huge. Like, I love spending time with the person I'm with, and so, like, if I don't get that, I should be like, hey, like, I just want you to spend more time with me. I want you to talk to me, like, be with me, you know? So, I don't know. But it's just important because they're not going to tell you exactly, like, you know, what you want. They're not going to know. It's not really about, like, can they figure you out? Because, I mean, like, I think on some level they're kind of going to see how you are and sort of figure you out, but, like, they're not going to know everything you want. You got to be direct.
Right.
And honest, like I've been saying, you know? So, yeah.
Okay. So, I asked the last person this too, but what's your opinion on Tinder, and how does that play into dating in our society today?
That's really funny. Tinder's funny because, like, I mean, I do know somebody who, she's in a relationship now that started from Tinder. Like, they met on Tinder and they get along great. And it's just, like, sometimes it's, like, it's almost luck. You know what I mean? It's, like, it's kind of, it's not, I don't want to say it's random, but it's just kind of like, you know, Tinder, like, I've had, bad experiences with that, just, like, being on there, just, like, talking to people, like.
Can you share more about the bad experiences?
That's funny. There was one date, I went on a date, and he, for one thing, he wasn't really there, he was just kind of looking around, like, not very, like, into the conversation. And then at the end, he, like, gave me a kiss and was just like, all right, bye. And it was just really awkward. And I was like, oh, I don't ever want to go on a date with this guy again. He was just not really my type. No, it didn't work. And then I found out later that he had told all his friends that we had sex after that date.
I mean, you did, didn't you? I mean, he kissed you, right?
Apparently kiss is the equivalent to sex now. But I was just like, you know, I deleted Tinder after that.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So that being said, it sounds like you are in a relationship now, right? Okay, yeah. So what was the difference from you being on, like, the dating site versus you finding your new relationship now or stumbling upon it? I know you said earlier before we started that sometimes a relationship happens when you're not looking for it.
Right.
So could you share a little bit more about that?
About, like, it just stumbling upon a relationship kind of thing?
Because, I mean, if you're in that relationship, that means that the guy didn't really have so many red flags as these other guys, and there's just something different.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, I want to say about the red flags thing, like, sometimes red flags isn't always the case. It's, like, sometimes it's just, like, it's not so much, like, red flags is about, like, are you guys compatible? Like, can you, like, do the good things about them outweigh the things that are, like, the bad things? Like, can you, like, how much you like them? Is it enough that you can, like, live with, like, whatever flaws, like, what's the difference between, like, being in a relationship now, and, like
well, more so, like, because, I mean, actually you just said a really key thing. So, you're willing to, if it's somebody that you feel like you're compatible with, you're willing to kind of overlook the red flags. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's pretty significant. Mm-hmm. So, like, what is it that you feel or felt that other people can kind of, like, take from you to know, like, okay, these may be red flags, but these are not so much, life or death to the point where I don't have to cut this relationship off immediately.
Right. Like, I think a lot of it is just, like, do you guys just have that connection? Like, can you be on the same level about things? Like, do you, like, like, even if, like, one person, like, coming into this is, like, a different religion than you or something like that, that doesn't, like, have to matter. Like, sometimes, like, a lot of people, like, that can be the main thing. But, like, as long as you guys can get on the same, like, mental level, you guys can, like, you can share ideas and, like, level with each other. I think that's huge. Like, otherwise, like, you just can't move forward with somebody that you just, like, later it's going to become a bigger argument if you guys just, like, can't get along, get, like, on the same page about things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, what was the first question?
Oh, no, you pretty much answered it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it's just about, like, being able to, like, feel that connection. Like, if you have that connection and you see that, like, I mean, like, whatever flaws come up, as long as, like, it's not, like, one of those, like, really big, like, red flags, mm-hmm. Like, it's, as long as it's something that it seems like it's just, like, it's not something that's going to keep them from connecting with you, keep them from being able to be all in whatever you're trying. Like, this is, like, assuming you're looking for a relationship, like, as long as, like, they are able to be, like, all in with mm-hmm, you mm-hmm. in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So.
What's a really big red flag?
Really big? Like I said, it's just, like, being so, like, like, low self-esteem, like low self-confidence. Like, you gotta, I've always, like, said this, like, you've gotta love yourself before you can love anybody else.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do that, then I don't think you can really get anywhere.
I agree.
So, as long as you have, like, some level of self-confidence, like, you don't want to, because if you get into an argument, you don't want to be, like, and you guys, like, don't talk. It's just you don't want to be so in a dark place by yourself, that, like, you can't be by yourself. Like, you got to be able to be by yourself, but, like, be with them and still be yourself. Like, you never want to be somebody else, you want to be able to be you with the person that you're with, mm-hmm.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you want to share about red flags, or is there any tips or anything that you can share with the listeners right now that you want to give out right now?
I don't know. I think just be upfront. Don't try and be someone you're not. Like, I just read this tweet, like, this morning. I thought that's funny. But, like, this tweet, it was saying, if you're going to, like, put yourself down, like, like, as, like, from a woman's perspective, like, if you're going to be, like, misogynistic and just, like, like, very, like, like, oh, like, just down on yourself, like, with somebody that you're on a date with, like, that's what you're going to get. Like, if you guys end up being, like, okay, like, that's what you're going to get. Like, whatever you put out, you're going to get. Is the biggest thing, I
agree. Like, if you go into the situation having, like, a winning mentality, or you feel like you're going to do well, or you feel like you're going to have good energy, that's what you're going to give out.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you going in with like a nervous or fearful, or this isn't going to work out like my last relationship. Or,
Right, like all scared.
Yeah, you're going to give that energy, and your body language is going to show it. Your words are going to show it, and then you're going to self-sabotage, like, subconsciously.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. Like, and even if that's not the one, you gotta be patient. Mm-hmm. Because you can't just, like, like, what's the word? Like, cater to their needs. Like, if they seem like, like a very, like, angsty, like, mad at the world kind of person, and that's not you, like, don't cater to that. Just be you, and, like, if it's just not gonna work out, just let it not work out.
Right.
Because not everything has to, like, work out perfectly, like, maybe it's just not the right one. You know?
I mean, you said the word one, and I think that's so fascinating because I feel like a lot of people get so frightened that they'll be alone for the rest of their lives, and
that maybe that was
I can
like
see how,
that maybe that was like their last chance.
Yeah, like that's the last chance. Like there's nobody else that will love me like this person did, and like all I have to say is that I mean honestly, there's so many people in this world, and you only have to find one. And I think that it's not a how hard can it be kind of thing, but it's just like you said, you shouldn't have to look for it, because if you're loving yourself and giving yourself the most self-love, then naturally you're going to become the best version of yourself. You're going to attract the best person for yourself.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. And another thing, I personally don't believe in the concept of, like, the one. I believe, like, like, I think there's a lot of people in the world you could make it work with, but it's like, who do you want to make it work with? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who is it that, like, really, like, you're just drawn to, like, you get along, and things just, like, fit for you guys so well that it's, like, and it's healthy. Sometimes being in a relationship, you can be kind of blind,
Yeah.
So as long as it's just,
toxic.
like, yeah, exactly. Like, as long as it's kind of, like, it's healthy, you can kind of, like, you can see it going somewhere and everything, and, like, it's about, like, whether you guys are compatible enough, And it's not always, like, because you can make it work with a lot of different people, but do you want to make it work with this person? Do you, like, that's kind of how I feel about my last relationship. Like, I feel like I could have made it work. I could have settled. Settled is probably the biggest word. But I could have made it work. I could have settled, but I wouldn't have been happy, It's like you want to be with somebody that, like, gets you, that you're compatible with,
I agree. I mean, happiness is pretty important.
Definitely pretty important.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you didn't settle. I mean, it takes a lot to be able to say...
Get out of that.
Yeah, especially if you've been with someone for so long, or, like you said, if you're blind in the situation.
Right.
It's like...
Exactly, yeah. And you don't, like... Me, I'm kind of like I feel bad hurting other people's feelings kind of person. So it's just like, I don't want to... And it's more than hurting someone's feelings, like, it's breaking their heart, you know what I mean? It's different, but, like, it's so much, and you almost feel bad breaking up with them, but it's like, this is what I need to do for me to be happy. And you gotta think about that, because nobody's gonna look out for you as much as you are gonna look out for yourself, So.
I completely agree.
Yeah. It's really important just to be able to be there for yourself, when nobody else, like, can.
Yeah, I mean, I like to sometimes even take myself on dates and just show myself love that way, because I mean, no one's going to, like you said, love you like you could, because I mean, you spend 24 hours with yourself.
Right, like, like you get you know you, like, you got to be able to, like, be comfortable with, like, the way that you are, and, like, where you're going, and if you're not, you got to work to find that, because not every point in your life is going to be, like, like, you're going to be at your, like, a top of the world moment, like, you're going to have your low moments. You got to find your, like, how can I get, like, to where I need to be? You just can't sit in the low moments, so.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being a guest. Did you want to say anything about what you're doing or anything like that?
Not really. I think I'm alright. I'm happy to be here, though. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you again. Like I said, you're the second guest on the show for the Red Flag series. I'm going to get some guys on here, and then hopefully you'll be back for a second guest appearance on at the same time as a guy, so it'll be kind of like a
like a girl versus guy kind of talking about
kind
it.
of thing.
That'll be interesting.
Kind of hash it out. So, like I said, you get the edge. You ladies are first on, and I'm excited. So you got some time to kind of like not prepare, because I mean, what can you prepare for? It's nothing crazy. It's just the dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it can be a crazy world. So
yeah, exactly. But once again, thank you for coming on, Alicia, and yeah. As always, stay blessed, not stressed, and love on each other.